Hey everybody, it's Spicy Guy. Today I want to talk to you about this guy right here. I want to lay out what makes me believe that he's been lying since day one, and that he did not visit Derion in the jail that day, and that he had absolutely nothing to do with finding baby girl Maleah. Check it out.
But there is issues of him physically abusing Maleah that the mom should have revealed to detectives.
This is a man you love. This is a man you had a child with. Did you think he was ever capable of doing any harm to any of your children?
No.
Never thought
Because
that.
that's not what I've seen.
Look how he's looking at her for exposing his lie. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button for me. And if you're new to my channel, make sure you click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I drop a new video.
When I sat with Brittany and told her that the things we had learned and discovered, the things that my organizational brothers who were out there speaking to tons of people, I was speaking to stepdad's family, and the things that we had extracted and pulled. When I brought these things to her, you know, she was like shocked. Well, how do you know that? She was like, yeah, that's true. Well, how did you find out that? And I explained to her we had been diligently working on the case.
But the next clip, the reporter asks her about, do you think there's stuff that you could have protected Maleah from in the home? And Brittany responds, I don't know. But then she also says, I was always home. And it's kind of like, you're always home and you're not sure.
Do you feel like some things happened inside your home that you didn't protect Maleah from? I'm not sure. I was always home. I was always home. I was always home.
Because there's a lot more here. His mother had no idea that this child was leaving the house with him in the morning. He's saying, I'm taking the child to daycare. But only later to learn from the investigation from both HPD and us that he was bringing the child back home sometimes with him. What is your purpose to tell this mother while she's going to class or she's going to work, Maleah's at daycare, yeah, I took her to school, but come to find out she's at home with you? Why would you lie and say she's at daycare, but have her in the house with you?
Jason Miles got exclusive access to Maleah's daycare, and they say they haven't seen her since last month. Jason?
I was always home. I was always home. I was always home.
Manager Rashonda Hines says Maleah couldn't play outside due to a recent brain surgery and had to keep her head covered. The center's records show Maleah was last here on April 26th, a week before her stepfather claims she was kidnapped by 3 men who attacked him on May 3rd. And Hines tells me detectives have been by the Learning Center and she has been in contact with Maleah's mom and grandmother. She says from what she saw at least, Maleah's stepdad seemed to care about the young girl.
Like I said, how is he taking somebody from daycare when he's at work? He's worked 9 to 5 every day.
Right.
It's not adding up, man.
He was texting some other female and she wanted to give him back the engagement ring, but she didn't want to give him back the engagement ring right now because it wouldn't be smart for her right now because he's basically the breadwinner in the situation.
I was always home. I was always home. I was always home.
This case was blown wide open this morning, as we mentioned, after we got a call from community activist Quanell X, who says he met with the stepdad Derion Vence in jail today.
Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
You can shoot. What's your questions?
What brought you here?
This morning I was able to meet with Mr. Vance.
For the record, what the reporter meant was, what brought you here, physically, specifically? Why are we standing in a shopping center parking lot?
The stepfather of Maleah Davis, and we had a long conversation. We spoke about details surrounding Maleah's disappearance. We spoke about his relationship to Brittany. We spoke about his feelings about how he's been betrayed in the media. We talked about several things. But one thing he wanted to make clear to me was what happened to Maleah was an accident. He says it was an accident. And he confessed to me where he dumped her body. And so Texas Act Research will be coordinating those efforts to find Maleah's remains. Detectives now have the information that they need, but he told me it was an accident, and he confessed to me, yes.
So what did he say happened?
I don't want to go into that.
What can you say at this time?
All I can say to you is that he told me it was an accident, and that she is dead, and where he dumped her body.
And where is that?
It's in Arkansas.
It's Arkansas?
Yes.
So what brought everybody here then specifically?
To talk about the coordinate, what happened and what took place and what they needed to know.
Did something happen here?
No, just no, not at all, no.
Where, let me see something. Vence, Derion. I want to make sure I'm not crazy here. So Derion Marquise Vence is located at JA07. That's the facility number, JA07. Let's see something. When you click on the facility, it specifies that it is located inside 711 North Jacinto. Now, just to make sure I wasn't crazy, because it just didn't sound right. From the Houston Police Department, downtown Houston, to the Harris County Jail where Derion is currently being located, they are 1.1 mile apart. Like literally a mile apart. So this man who's supposed to be a community activist and has all this legal inside knowledge and stuff like that, you mean to tell me he somehow made it inside of the county jail on a day where there was no visitation whatsoever? So he was lucky enough to get inside this county jail and get this man to tell him all his biggest, darkest, ugliest secrets on the planet. A stranger, by the way. Then now he's walking out of the county jail with all of this information about a little girl's demise, and instead of hopping in his car and driving the 1.1 miles to the police station, he met the detective at a strip mall. Wouldn't the detectives be located right here inside this Houston Police Department? I mean, I'm not from Houston, but I am from a big city, and most of our detectives are located inside the police department. Only ones that aren't are inside the sheriff department. This makes no sense, people. This man probably passed right by the police department to meet a detective, a specific detective, I guess, at a strip mall. Somebody make it make sense.
Did he travel in a vehicle in the Nissan that was found?
It was in a car. He was in a car. He said that he pulled over in Arkansas, got out of the car, walked off the side of the road, and dumped her body off the side of the road.
Tim, what are you?
I think it's true enough that I've got an airplane lined up at 3 o'clock to go ahead and fly detective and several of us up there to go ahead and start the search. Investigators have been talked to up there in Arkansas, and so.
We have breaking news, new developments in the Maleah Davis case. Ivory Hecker is live where community activist Quanell X just finished speaking. Good afternoon, Ivory.
Good afternoon, Jose. Yeah, Quanell X met privately with detectives here in a strip mall parking lot near NRG Stadium. In fact, the detectives are still behind me in that silver car, going over the details of what Quanell says Derion Vence confessed to him.
This is like common to you. You go in and you talk to these suspects. What approach do you take, and how do you get confessions out of these guys?
You know, to be honest with you, it is something that I learned within the Nation of Islam. I have to be very honest.
Interesting there. So, in this local case with your newest hit, I'll call it, how did you approach Derion Vence?
We sat down as two men, and I explained to him what I believed about the case. I explained to him what I thought about him before I ever let him speak. I was very straightforward with him about what I thought about him, what I thought about Brittany, what I thought about the home that they both shared and lived in, and what I believed was wrong on everybody's part.
Now, let me get this straight. So, you're saying you went inside the county jail, you sat down in front of this man who had never met you a day in his life, you explained to him that you believe that he's gay, and that he actually hurt Maleah as well as physically hurt her, and he looked up at you, said, "I respect you, man. Let me tell you my story." Somebody please make it make sense.
When you say he cares about his own image in the public, what gives you that? What did he say to lean towards that?
Early on in our investigation, we learned certain things I was able to share with him. He had a mistress, and we were able to locate this mistress, and she shared with us aspects of their relationship, and that he had desires of leaving Brittany to be with her. And so I was like, well, can you show me proof? And she provided the proof. And so when I brought this up to him, he was shocked I knew this information. He asked me, how did I find this out? I told him how we found out. And he was relieved to know that the woman we did speak with, the mistress, was concerned about his well-being.
Wait, I thought he was gay. Why would he want to leave Brittany for this woman if he is so into this man he was sexting with? This does not make sense, sir. It doesn't make sense.
Then that's when he opened up and began to share his side of what he felt was misrepresentation in the public. He felt that people needed to know that he took care of the kids 90% of the time. Brittany was not there. He says he had many arguments with Brittany because he felt that she was not fit as a mother, because she was not assisting him and helping him in raising the children. He felt overwhelmed with his responsibility to Maleah in particular, because she had doctor's visits she had to go to. She had medical needs that she needed. She needed extensive care and developmental issues also. And he felt that he was a primary parent in the home that was providing those resources to her.
Wait, why does this sound so familiar? Didn't we already hear this story a couple of weeks ago from Quanell? Take it away, Quanell.
Didn't do nothing to her because he loves her. You know, he been taking care of her since she was 1 year old. Brittany, like, she, you know what I'm saying? She ain't no type of mother. Like, he's been the one taking care of the kids the whole time. Wow. When Derion came in the picture, those kids couldn't do nothing, like, nothing. Like, he didn't want to taught them how to talk and use the bathroom and stuff like that. Like, they were way behind.
There were times where he would say she was at daycare, but he would bring her back, not drop off at daycare, but bring the child back here to the home with him. There's reason to believe, based on what I know now, that there's issues of him possibly young Maleah.
First of all, he has no way to be able to take her to daycare and come back home because he works 9 to 5. So how is he gonna come home when he works a 9 to 5 job? None of those things are true about him. Like I said, he works from 9 to 5. So how is he able to take a child back home when he has to be at work? CPS is involved in their life, so if they miss any type of days, CPS is going to be on it because the case is still ongoing. You know what I'm saying? And she had previous problems with CPS before Derion even came into the picture. Like, we've been warning Derion about this girl. We've been trying to get him away from her. He didn't listen because he didn't want to leave the kids with her. He's been the sole provider the whole time. Like, he loved those kids. He definitely fought for them to get back into custody.
I think as to why we have a 4-year-old girl missing, and then you have a guy who's a suspect who's giving information over the body and is saying, "Oh, it was an accident."
He was angry with Brittany, and he was very agitated with Brittany about her discovering him sending these pictures of his private parts to another man, and she calling him gay and saying that she was giving the ring back to him. That drove him over the edge.
I had asked her why she was acting funny, and she had originally told the story about Derion cheating on her.
Okay.
And she found text messages of Derion texting some other female.
Female.
Back and forth while she was up there the first time with me and my dad. Well, so she was telling me she was mad because he was texting some other female and she wanted to give him back the engagement ring, but she didn't want to give him back the engagement ring right now because it wouldn't be smart for her right now because he's basically the breadwinner in the situation. Quanell called me and I told him that he needed to ask her about that. And however, when I stopped talking to my sister the day she had that interview with Quanell. Because everything that she told me, when she told me it was a female, not a guy, I'm just like listening to the story because, you know, I want to be there for my sister, but stuff just ain't adding up to me.
So maybe.
And remember, there was already physical abuse by him against Maleah in the home.
So are you concluding to what he told you that this may have been in retaliation?
Yes. Yes, but I don't think it was the first time because of what we learned in this investigation, in this case. Brittany knew all about the physical abuse and helped cover it up.
Story's just not even matching up. Like, why would you leave your child at home with him if he's doing all of these things?
That doesn't make sense, right?
And they have a CPS case open, so don't you think CPS has already looked into all of those things before they even sent the child back home with them? It's just like, and then it's like the guy that she with is like, he's making up the story, and you know what I'm saying?
Oh, the Quanell,
like he just threw himself in the, you know what I'm saying, in the picture. He's making up the story, and you know what I'm saying, she just going with it.
Right.
Like she never found no pictures of Derion with no guy, nothing like that. She saw some texts with him with a girl, and she got mad. But he's never been gay or nothing like that, man. That was one of the craziest things that I heard. But that's the reason why she broke up with him, not because she claimed he was molesting her baby. Come on now.
Right.
Be real.
Well, the strange thing is that she said it was like
stuff is not true, man.
She said it was happening for months, so I couldn't wrap my mind around it. That's why I was kind of going hard on her. Like, how as a mother can you see this stuff for months and just now that supposedly there's gay stuff?
How's it happening for months when the kids are with my baby's mother? They just not getting the kids back.
Right. That's true. Yeah, it's true. I think they got the kids back, from what I read, if it's correct, in February, from what I read.
Now, is it true that she had a history of, there was a history of Derion, whatever, was abusing her? Because I don't see that. She look like she would be the abuser or the manipulator. You know what I mean? So was he abusing Brittany like that? From your knowledge?
Not from my knowledge. Like I told Tanika, she put that man on a pedestal. And from my knowledge, he did mostly everything.
Right.
And we were comparing, boyfriends. And I was, commending her and talking about how much she had a good boyfriend because he basically is there for her in every which way possible. As far as helping out with the kids that didn't belong to him, cleaning up the house, taking care of the bills because she didn't work for a while. I mean, that's how she explained it to me, that he was a good stand-up guy.
Quanell, when you say accident, how do you think Maleah died?
Derion snapped. And I believe he punched that child in the head. Because that's what he had done before.
Did he admit to doing that before?
The mother admitted to me that he had did it before.
Just punched the little girl in the head?
Yes. And he had beaten her before.
The CPS thing, there's very little information, but I saw one, I think that was from 2018. Was there more things that have happened previously, you're saying, or is that the only thing?
Yeah, before he was even involved with her. There's been several instances where people actually have saw her punch the kid and stuff like that.
And I think that he was so angry with Brittany about discovering this information about him and his sexuality and his sexual pictures. And then on top of that, she's saying she's not going to be with him anymore. She's leaving him. Then on top of that, he already feels overwhelmed with his responsibility to Maleah. Maybe it all just rolled him over the edge and he snapped.
There was something that stuck out to me when me and her had a conversation that I didn't bring up, that I had forgot to bring up. Is when she told me when she would get overwhelmed with those kids, that Derion would take them in the car for a ride. And I could see that being true because every time a video or pictures put out, Derion's in the car with Maleah.
Right.
So he basically would take those kids when she felt overwhelmed. So why were you overwhelmed?
Right. And was he just only with Maleah because there's other kids in the house?
Yeah, she stated not just Maleah, all the kids.
Okay.
Like when they were act up or she'll feel overwhelmed, he'll just go take the kids for a ride, see if they will fall asleep. That type of situation.
Now,
have searchers going out now, police are going out now. Do you believe they'll find Maleah out there in hope?
I'm hoping that they do, but we also learned after he told me that they had been highway workers, or what you call them, highway workers, highway clean men, had been cleaning that whole area for up to a week now.
Derion told you this?
No, that's what we were told from authorities in Arkansas, that they had been cleaning that whole area for a week, and that he did dump her in a garbage bag. She was in a garbage bag when he dumped her.
Maleah was in a garbage bag.
Yeah.
Why did Quanell X make it a point to mention the road workers and the garbage bag? I mean, he reiterated it. He made sure to make those points because they had already ran baby over with the mower and they'd already discovered her strewn across the ground. She had already been found before he even made this statement. Why would they run her over with a mower and then just keep mowing the lawn and then not notice that she's there all over the place? That's impossible. They had already found baby girl. He is mentioning these points because he's trying to cover his butt so we can continue to believe the lie that they were out there waiting on him to arrive at 3 o'clock so they could search for her. They had already found her.
Does he describe what he does with the garbage bag? Does he put it in the car and then just gets on the road?
She was put in the trunk, and he drove.
On May 13, 2019, NBC News reported smell of decomposition detected in trunk of car driven by boyfriend of Maleah Davis's mom. The smell of decomposing human remains was detected in the trunk of a car driven by Maleah Davis's mother's boyfriend, who was arrested in connection with the disappearance of the missing Texas girl, according to court documents. The documents were filed by Harris County prosecutors Saturday, the same day Derion Vence was taken into custody and charged with tampering with evidence, namely a corpse. I wonder how Quanell X knew to say trunk.
Michael Skillern, Skillern.
And what is your position of the Houston Police Department?
I'm the commander of the homicide division. This morning we received some information that her body may be here in Arkansas near Hope. We contacted the state police, the game wardens up here, Henderson County Sheriff's Department, and with all their help we were able to find some remains here in this area.
Tim, what are you?
I think it's true enough that I've got an airplane lined up at 3 o'clock to go ahead and fly detective and several of us up there to go ahead and start the search. Investigators have been talked to up there in Arkansas, and so I believe it's true.
Of course, we can't confirm that is Maleah, but we're going to do an investigation. We're processing the scene, and we'll get her to we'll get the remains to the medical examiner's office and see if we can confirm if maybe that's her.
It's our understanding that the stepfather confessed.
He did not confess to law enforcement. He has spoken to one of our community activists, so he may have given him some information, but has not confessed to law enforcement.
And he confessed to me where he dumped her body. And so Texas Equity Research will be coordinating those efforts to find Maleah's remains. Detectives now have the information that they need.
In fact, the detectives are still behind me in that silver car, going over the details of what Quanell says Derion Vence confessed to him.
Two questions. How long do you expect members of HPD to be working in that scene?
As long as it takes. Yeah, and I don't put a timeline on it because I don't know what's going on out there, but I trust our investigators. I told you our commander of homicide, he is out there himself on the ground, and we have a whole team. So as long as it takes, we need to get to the bottom of it and determine who's responsible. Yes, ma'am.
The last time that you spoke about this case, he said that Derion Vence is uncooperative. So what changed?
Who was uncooperative? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Oh, the father. Yeah, I'm not going into that right now. So and because I don't know all the facts. This was developed really quickly today, and it's still developing. So
sources tell us the new defense team wants to know if Quanell was working with detectives before he met with Vence. This was Quanell's response.
Well, let me say to Darion's attorneys.
To be clear, that subpoena is directed at Quanell's cell phone carrier, not him. However, we did ask whether Quanell spoke with HPD investigators prior to meeting with Derion Vence at the jail on Friday.
I never spoke with investigators about if I was going to talk to him or visit him. None of that. I had never spoken to him until after he confessed.
The problem with that statement is this particular facility does not have visiting on Fridays. I repeat, there are no visits on Fridays. Even if he decided to do a video visit from the second floor lobby at the video visitation station, there are also no video visits allowed on Fridays. So if you didn't speak to anyone before you visited the jail, how in the hey did you get inside?
As for why Quanell visited Vence that day, Quanell says his own daughter told him she had a dream that he found Maleah.
When she told me that, I got dressed and took it as a sign to go talk to Derion.
And I had received a tip from inside the jail that he was saying that he wanted to talk to me. And so I got up this morning and I prayed. And I told people close to me to pray for me.
Which one was it, Quanell? Was it your daughter's dream, or did you get word from inside the jail that Derion wanted to see you?
Quanell X given the credit for leading Houston police to the remains of Maleah Davis this month in Arkansas. But a fellow inmate, David Chalfant, also in protective custody at the jail, claims he alerted HPD detectives to the body's location 5 days before she was found. He says he shared food with Vence over the days, began a dialogue about Maleah. Vence already charged with tampering with a corpse in her disappearance. In an exclusive interview from Jail Today, Chalfant said he told Vence, "You have to tell people where she is." He said Arkansas. The next time we talked, he gave me a location and he wrote it on a note that he passed to me. It said Arkansas, highway, black trash bag, and a roadside with hope and an arrow pointing down to it. Chalfant says he gave the information to HPD Homicide, met twice with investigators, and waited. He says he continued to communicate with Vence. He said she died of the flu in her sleep. I told him nobody's going to believe that. There are pictures of her walking behind you. She wasn't sick. He goes on to say, I asked him, why did you hide the body? And he said he panicked because of the time she had fractured her skull before. Chalfant said he met a second time with investigators, was asked to wear a wire when he spoke to Vence again, but he said police didn't follow through on that. Now he says he has new information, which he says he sent to HPD 2 days ago. Quote, he told me how she died. He said she was sitting on his lap and he tossed her off and she hit her head. When the remains of 4-year-old Maleah were found, they had already been run over by a large mower.
Someone inside that county jail contacted Quanell X and told him about this information from David. Quanell X took this information and the fact that the people in Arkansas that were searching for her already found her because of the road workers. Then he merged all this information together, fed it to the media, and fooled us all. Okay, at some point, a rumor was started that David Chalfant only gave up this information because he wanted to be moved to a different jail facility. For some reason, that just did not make sense to me in any way, shape, or form. So I decided to figure out where was David Chalfant supposedly transferred to. This is the Texas Department of Criminal Justice website. Let me show you where David Chalfant is. He's in the custody of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. David Allen was not transferred to a better jail. David Allen was shipped off to prison. That means he was found guilty of a crime and sentenced to the Texas State Penitentiary. He was transferred because it was time for him to go. As you can see right here, his projected release date is March 28th, 2043. This man was already going to prison. He had no reason to lie.
Guys, yeah, it's a 6-hour drive from Derion Vence's home, and authorities believe what remained of Maleah was literally dumped right behind me, off exit 18, Interstate 30. They came upon this area yesterday when literally a highway mowing crew came upon the plastic bag.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? It did not all begin when Quanell X supposedly got this confession. It all began when the crew ran over her with the mower.
Want to show you what the police efforts were yesterday afternoon.
Quanell and Tim's plane wasn't even scheduled to leave until 3 o'clock. Anything past that is considered evening. Afternoon. They had already found her before they got on this plane. They had already found her before he gave us the phony press conference.
So as you're watching investigators sort of work the scene yesterday, we can tell you that it was community activist Quanell X who spoke to stepfather Derion Vence in jail, who told him, hey, Maleah's body is in Arkansas. That coupled with this fortuitous action by the contract crew that ran over this bag and saw human remains, coupled together, allowed investigators to zero in to where I'm standing fairly quickly.
Look at here, people. Quanell X is extremely prominent in the Houston media community. The media is extremely careful about how they tiptoe around this man. You can hear her stuttering as she explains the part about Quanell X and the confession. No, this is what happened. That detective that Quanell X was chilling with in that car, in that parking lot, like, let's get away from the police station, I got some stuff I need to tell you. That's where he got this information from. And the detective got the information from David Chalfant. When it became clear that the remains of a approximately 4-year-old was found in Arkansas by the people mowing the lawn, the people in Texas finally decided to, light bulb went off. Wait a minute. Maybe David Chalfant was telling the truth, because according to rumors, there was a lady out there searching days before this. So apparently they had already spoken with Arkansas and told them this story, but they weren't able to find her, okay? Now you couple the fact that they already had this information from David with the fact that they found this baby girl with this mower situation, and that is the information that was given to Quanell, more than likely by the detective he was chilling with in that parking lot. And he was able to trick us into believing he got a confession on a day when there are no visits allowed. Why did he leave the county jail, call a detective, and say, meet me in a parking lot? Because that's not what happened. The detective called him and said, meet me in the parking lot, and fed him this information.
A plane was donated where Houston police, as well as EquiSearch, were able to fly here. They worked on this for a couple of hours. They signed a court order so the remains can be transported back to Houston that same night.
You do understand that court orders aren't signed in a matter of minutes. You have to actually go and present evidence to a judge. The judge has to take at least a minute to review the evidence, and then the judge has to sign the court order. This is not a quick process. They had to have already been working on this for hours, like early that morning. Quanell X had nothing whatsoever to do with this.